Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Nigro with a screencast that is focused on stoichiometry problems that involve energy. All right, we've done a lot of stoichiometry so far. We've looked at going from grams of one substance to grams of another. We know how to use particles, go from particles to particles or particles to grams. We also have learned how to utilize volumes of gases under STP and non-STP conditions. This is a little bit different because it's going to have two steps within our conversion problem versus three, because you just go to moles and then straight to energy. There's nowhere to go after you get to energy. All right. So when we talk about these problems, we're going to start, whoops, sorry. Oh, no, that's not what I want to say either. We're going to have an amount of a substance, and we want to determine the amount of energy that flows because of that particular amount of substance. That substance can be a reactant, it could be a product, doesn't really matter. We just are going to be moving from that amount into the energy. All right, we also could start with energy and instead figure out, well, then how much of the substance must have been present or was produced along with that energy. All right, now because this is stoichiometry, there are a couple things we need before we can run the problem. All right, first, as always, you need a balanced thermochemical equation. All right, and that thermo part means that you need to know delta H. All right, it's either part of the reaction or given separately. All right, what do I mean by that? Well, maybe the problem says this reacts with this and produces this, this, and energy. And so that energy would be delta H. Or maybe the problem says this plus this reacts and produces this plus this. The delta H of this reaction is this value. And then that would give it to you separately. All right, so you could see it either way in these problems. All right, the second aspect that makes calculations of these types of problems successful is a plan. All right, now we've been doing these for a while in class, so the plan may not be as necessary to you as it was in the beginning. All right, but it's always a good idea just to remember how to do the steps. All right, so we need a plan which is going to tell us how to get from our given to our asked for. All right, remember, we're going to be setting up conversion factors, and we're going to use those units to set those factors. All right, so let's do a little bit of practice. Not practice really, but we're going to draw a little teeny map here. All right, so let's assume that we know grams of a substance, and the problem is asking us to determine the amount of energy in joules that is produced or absorbed as part of that practice. All right, so there's no direct relationship between mass and energy. All right, so as with all our other problems, our first step is going to be to figure out, well, then how many moles of substance A do I have? All right, and I know that I need the molar mass of that substance to make that conversion. Now, once I get to moles of A, then I can go directly to joules of energy. And this is where we don't have three steps, we only have two, because instead of a mole ratio step where we go moles of one substance to moles of another, we do instead what's called a mole energy ratio. It's going to be similar, all right, in that we're going to use the coefficient that goes along with A, and then we'll use delta H as the other part of that ratio. All right, so we'll do a molar mass step, and then we'll use a mole energy ratio step. All right, now obviously if we start with energy, we go the other way. We take the energy and we convert that into moles using the mole energy ratio. And then once I know moles of the substance, I can figure out grams of that substance using its molar mass. All right, keep in mind, all right, we can also work with particles, which means we'll need Avogadro's number. We can be working with gases at STP, which means we're going to need molar volume or gases at non-STP, which means we're going to need the ideal gas law. All right, those are still options for how we start or end the problem. So just because this particular map I have drawn doesn't include them, don't forget about those guys. They are important. All right, also, in addition, we are still going to see limiting reactant problems and percent yield problems. All right, so those are still options. You still have to keep an eye out for those context clues that tells you that that's the type of problem. All right, so let's try one. So we're going to scroll down and we're going to look at this one. Let's pick a different color. That green. Okay. The combustion of liquid ethanol has a delta H of reaction of negative 1,366.7 kilojoules. All right. Write the balanced thermochemical equation. So it's thermochemical equation for this reaction. All right. So I'm going to start with my ethanol, C2H5OH, and it is a liquid. Combustion requires the presence of oxygen, so O2 gas, and that's going to yield two products, CO2 gas and water vapor. All right, and according to this problem, I have a delta H of reaction, which is negative 1,366.7 kilojoules. What that negative sign tells me, this is an exothermic process, so that energy is being released. So I can either list it as a product, or I like to just leave it as the delta H. So I say delta H for this process is negative 1,366.7 kilojoules, and that should be per mole. All right, now I need to balance it, so I go back and check. I've got 2 carbons, so I'm going to need 2 CO2s. I have 6 hydrogens, so I'll need 3 waters. It's going to give me 7 oxygens on the product side. I've got 1 in my first reactant, so I need 6 more, so 3 O2 molecules. So there's my balanced reaction. All right, so part B says how much energy is produced by the combustion of 25.5 grams of ethanol. So I'm going to start with mass of ethanol. I'm going to convert to moles of ethanol using the molar mass, and then I'm going to use my mole energy ratio to go from moles of ethanol to energy. All right, so for the setup, 25.5 grams of ethanol, I'm just going to write ETOH to represent that. All right, and using my periodic table, I know that 1 mole of ethanol has a molar mass of 46.08 grams. All right, and that's going to let me cancel my grams, but I'm not done. The problem asks for the answer in energy, and this is our mole energy ratio. So if we look at our balanced thermochemical equation up in part A, the way you read this is that 1 mole, which is the coefficient in front of ethanol, produces 2 moles of CO2, 3 moles of H2O, and 1,366.7 kilojoules of energy. All right. So for every 1 mole of ethanol, I'm going to release 1,366.7 kilojoules worth of energy. So my moles will cancel, and I'm left with that kilojoule unit, which is my energy unit. So I take my 25.5 divided by 46.08, multiplied by 1,366.7, and I find that if I have 25.5 grams of ethanol combust, I will be releasing 756.3 kilojoules worth of energy. All right. So just to recap, our first step was molar mass to convert from grams to moles. And our second step was our mole energy ratio, or our MER. All right. Now, the one that is with ethanol is because of that coefficient. If instead we've been working with O2, then it would have been 3 moles of O2 versus 1,366.7 kilojoules. So we do change that number that goes with a mole. It just depends on the coefficient in your balanced reaction. All right, so let's try part C. How many grams of CO2 are produced when 2,500 kilojoules of energy is released by this reaction? So this time we're going to start with the energy. So 2,500 kilojoules of energy. So this is being released. All right, we're going to start with our mole energy ratio. We need that energy to be on the bottom of our conversion factor for canceling. So I'm going to say negative 1,366.7 for every 2 moles of CO2. That's what our balance reaction tells us. If we're producing 2,500 kilojoules of energy, how much in terms of CO2 are we going to produce? Well, delta H tells me that for every 1,366.7 kilojoules that gets released, I'm producing 2 moles of CO2. All right, so that cancels. And then we're going to do a molar mass step. 1 mole of CO2 has a molar mass of 44.02 grams. Cancel our moles, plug everything into our calculator, and we find that if we're releasing 2,500 kilojoules of energy, then we are also releasing 161.0 grams of CO2. All right, and if we look again to recap, our first step was our mole energy ratio step, and then our second step was our molar mass step. All right, slide down. This one's going to be a little different. It says how many liters of oxygen gas reacted if 1,500 kilojoules of energy was released when the experimental pressure was 775 torr and 45 degrees Celsius. All right. So our first step is to take that energy and convert it into moles. All right. So 1,500 kilojoules of energy was released. And I know, according to my balanced reaction, that for every 3 moles of O2, I should release 1,366.7 kilojoules of energy. Now, I have to stop here in terms of conversion factors because I need to go from moles to liters, but because I'm not at STP, I have to use the ideal gas law. So I'm going to cancel my kilojoules and I'm going to determine the moles. And I get 3.29 moles of O2. All right, so that's how many moles of O2 were used. And then I'm going to use P times V equals N times R times T, but I'm going to solve for V. So that's going to be N times R times T over P. All right, now remember, based on the unit of R, I need my 775 torr to be in atmospheres, and I know that 1 atmosphere is 760 torr. All right, so my pressure is actually 1.02 atms. All right, and for temperature, I need that to be in Kelvin, so I add 273, which is 318 Kelvin. Don't forget to make those conversions. All right, I'm going to slide this over just a little bit to give myself a little bit more room. All right, so I plug in N, 3.29 moles. I plug in R, 0.0821. I'm not going to put the unit in because of space, but you should just be consistent. All right, 318 for Kelvin, and then 1.02 atmospheres for our pressure. Plug everything in, and we find that if we're producing 1,500 kilojoules of energy, then we are using 84.2 liters worth of O2 gas. All right, so that one's a little bit different. The Stoich came first, all right, and we used our mole energy ratio to find moles of reactant, and then we took that and plugged that value in for N in the ideal gas law, and then solved for V. All right, let's try this one. This is number 2. All right, calculate the energy produced when 222.4 grams of nitrogen gas reacts with 13 liters of hydrogen gas to form ammonia under STP conditions. The reaction is below. So N2 plus H2 forms NH3, and we're given the delta H value of negative 91.8 kilojoules. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is check and see if it's balanced. It is not balanced, so I'm going to need 2 ammonia for that N2. That's going to give me 6 hydrogens, so I'll need 3 hydrogens. And if I look at the problem, I've got 222.4 grams of a nitrogen and 13 liters at STP of my hydrogen. Oh, well, I have an amount for more than one of my reactants, and when that happens, that is a limiting reactant problem. So I'm going to need to calculate which one of these limits. Now, normally we do that by going and determining the amount of product that is made. The thing to keep in mind is, in this case, there are 2 products. There's NH3, or instead, I could figure out how much energy is produced by each of these amounts. It's going to be the same thing. The one that produces the least amount of energy is going to be our limiting reactant. All right. So we're going to start with nitrogen. All right, we've got a mass. So we start with 222.4 grams of N2. Our first step is to go from grams to moles. All right, so 1 mole of N2 has a molar mass of 28.02 grams. All right, now we need to determine energy. So we are going to use our mole energy ratio. We go look at our coefficients. And according to the balance reaction, for every mole of N2, we are going to produce 91.8 kilojoules worth of energy. So let's cancel those moles and we'll be left with kilojoules. Plug everything into our calculator and we would release 728.6 kilojoules worth of energy if we started with 222.4 grams of nitrogen. All right, now let's look at H2. All right, we've got 13 liters of H2 gas. Now, because we're at STP conditions, I can use molar volume to make this conversion to moles. And based on that value, I know that 1 mole of any gas under STP conditions occupies 22.4 liters worth of space. So that's going to let me cancel my liters. All right, now it's going to be my mole energy ratio, and according to that balanced reaction, for every 3 moles of hydrogen gas, I'm going to produce 91.8 kilojoules worth of energy. All right, cancel that. So now I'm going to plug everything in, and I find that if I had 13 liters of hydrogen, I would produce 17.75 kilojoules worth of energy. All right, well, if I compare these two values, hydrogen clearly produces less energy. That makes hydrogen my limiting reactant. So this is going to be the amount of energy that can be produced. Once I produce 17.75 kilojoules worth of energy, I run out of hydrogen, the reaction's over. All right, so again, it's a limiting reactant problem. It's just a little bit different. Now, could you have determined limiting reactant based on ammonia? Identify the limiting reactant and then determine energy? Sure. All right, nothing wrong with that. It's just a couple extra steps. This is a little bit cleaner, so you can always go directly to or from energy in limiting reactant problems as well. Okay? All right, let me know if you have any questions.